Sit back, kick your feet up, pour yourself a drink. It's time for the Wine and Whiskey Socialites with Jack and Chris. And this actually is not one of our full podcasts. This is what we're calling a Wine and Whiskey Shooter. It's a little shorter, and we want to talk a little bit about what's happening that's relevant today. Now, once again, we have to tell you that this is not family friendly, nor is this workplace appropriate unless, of course, you're a gangster and you've got yourself a Tommy gun, and those don't exist anymore. So it's pretty irrelevant. But I'm just saying, you may not want to listen to this at work. Jackie, you and I, we both work in the public.
Yes, we do.
We've been following very closely simply because you're in social services, I'm in media. We're following COVID-19, which is now what it's called.
Yes.
And there's so much happening, and there's so much misinformation out there, and there's so much fear, and there's so much panicking. But what I don't understand is the toilet paper issue. I don't understand why someone needs 600 rolls of shit tickets.
I don't understand that either, and I didn't even know about this until I went to buy toilet paper, which I actually needed, and had to pay $22 for 12 rolls of toilet paper.
That is ridiculous. Were they threaded with gold?
No, unfortunately, they weren't.
Now, here is the question I have for you, because Kay and I, my girlfriend and I, we were out. There's a shot. We were out, and she had to get toilet paper as well. Did people look at you in judgment when you had your roll of package of toilet paper?
Yes, because I had to walk through the Pembroke Mall, and all I needed was toilet paper. So I'm walking through the Pembroke Mall with this big thing of toilet paper, and everybody's like looking at me and smirking, and I'm like, okay, I'm really not hoarding toilet paper. I only have 2 rolls left at home.
Well, you know, our grandparents lived through the Great Depression. We're living through the Great Recession of toilet paper.
We are.
I said to somebody, I was in a convenience store, and I happened to say, you know, if you need 600 rolls of toilet paper, it's not the coronavirus that you got.
Exactly.
You got the trots.
You do, for sure.
One guy online, he did the math, and he figured it all out, and he said, you know, these people who are buying all that, they're going to have to shit 182 times a day. And then, of course, there's the joke going around that, you know, one person sneezes, everyone shits themselves.
Yes.
And there are going to be jokes about this forever. Like, currency is now toilet paper, and, you know, you got to use both sides. But this is actually a very serious issue when you break it down.
It is, for sure, because look at our seniors and our most vulnerable and, you know, people who really need these things. And I'm so happy to see so many stores having set hours for them to come in first thing in the morning.
And that is amazing.
Buy what they need.
And they're putting limits. And
yes.
I know of one drugstore that is creating their own hand sanitizer.
Yes.
But the thing that I'm loving right now, I saw that Costco did it. I don't know if anybody else, they're not accepting returns on toilet paper when the pandemic is over.
That is fantastic. So what I do hope that people do, though, is donate it to their food banks, to women's shelters, places like that.
Well, and that's the thing right now, right? Like, food banks are having a hard time securing these items for people in need. And it's not just toilet paper. We're seeing pasta fly off the shelves. Mm-hmm. We're seeing sanitizer fly off the shelves and hand soap. And, of course, you see all these things floating around social media. I absolutely love it. Wish I'd come up with these myself. But, you know, hey, dumbass who bought the 40 bottles of hand soap. It's not just your hands that need to be clean. It's everybody else's.
Exactly. And today, I had to go to the grocery store today because I was out of all fresh fruits and vegetables, and I needed some of that stuff. And I went to buy some frozen vegetables thinking, you know, that's smart. I can throw some in my freezer. There was 1 bag of green beans left on the shelf.
It's ridiculous how they're clearing things out. Now,
yes.
I mean, to be fair, we went into a no frills, and I've learned over the past year they've changed their stocking methods. When they get closer to the weekend, they don't really refill. They wait till Monday. I've noticed on the weekends it's harder to find things. So I'm hoping come Monday, Tuesday, they'll restock again. But I'm thinking this is not the end of the world.
No.
Okay? It is not the end of the world, no matter what the song says. I know that we have to be cautious. We have to be proactive. We have to be smart about this. But I think putting the fear of God into people and forcing them to panic is putting other people at risk.
It is, for sure. And, you know, it's really affecting those with depression and anxiety and everything they're reading on social media. There's so many false things that are being shared, and it's so wrong. So most people are surviving this COVID-19. Yes, there have been deaths, but the survival rate is a lot higher than the deaths. And though it is very serious and we have to be cautious, hoarding all this stuff is not helping.
No. And of course, you've got both ends of the spectrum, right? You got the people who are like putting the fear of God in everybody and who are hoarding things. And you have the other people, like I passed a house that had like 7 cars parked in the driveway in front of it. They're having some sort of house party. And I'm thinking, that's not a good idea. Like, you and I are, yes, we are recording this, but we are social distancing. We're not in isolation.
No.
There's no cause for us to be isolated, but we normally greet each other with a hug. And there's been no hug. There's been no handshake. We've got this distance between us. My poor girlfriend is sitting outside the studio, but that's just because she keeps dropping shit and making noises.
Yeah, she can't be quiet, so she needs to be out there.
But I mean, you've got to be smart. You can still go out for your walks. You can still call a friend and go for a walk. You just can't, like, hug, be linked arm in arm. Just make sure you're that arm's length away from each other. Wash your hands afterwards. And I just think that this is scary in the fact that it could overwhelm our health services if we're not smart. We've lived through SARS. We lived through H1N1, but they didn't shut shit down.
They didn't.
And that's what's scaring people is the steps that are being taken because we don't understand this virus, because of the death toll around the globe. But again, yes, the number of people that are surviving is very, very high, and the majority of people will survive this. I'm not afraid of getting this. I'm afraid of giving it to someone who might not be able to fight it off as well as I can. And as soon as I said that, my mom's like, you should be afraid of this. Like, my mom, honest to God, if she could have, she would be like, bitch, you better rethink. Because I do. I have asthma. I have a history of chronic bronchitis and pneumonia and other respiratory illnesses. So, I'm not scared, but I am taking it seriously.
For sure.
I joke about it. I got in trouble for joking about it.
Yes, and now more than ever, we need to be making jokes. We need to find the humor in things because, you know, people are taking this very seriously. It is a very scary thing, but we need to, you know, find some humor in the everyday things. And you know, and I know as social workers that, you know, we do have a dark sense of humor sometimes, and that's what gets us through our jobs.
You have to. And anybody who works emergency services, first responders, they have that same kind of humor too that not everybody understands.
No.
But you need to be able to laugh, because if we can't laugh right now, we have no chance whatsoever of beating this.
Exactly. And for those of you who think that you shouldn't be outside, the sunshine and vitamin D is actually your best defense against this virus. Go outside as much as you can. Go for a walk. If you feel better wearing a mask, wear a mask, but get outside and get some fresh air. Still social distance, but get outside, get some fresh air, get some sunshine. You'll feel better. It'll lift your mood, and then go back in the house.
We just want to remind you that COVID-19 is not necessarily a death sentence, because we're going to drop a few more shooters about COVID.
Yes, we are.
So stay safe out there, wash your hands, and
cheers till next time.
Bottoms up. Keep an eye out for our next full podcast, episode 3, Why Some Animals Eat Their Young. It drops on Wednesday, March 25th. You can find us on iTunes, Apple, and Spotify. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.